I've been trying to go back. Yeah, my dad was he used to make yeah, well,
Okay, let's all take songbook and turn to page 97. I'm bound for the promised land. Page 97. Nobody's over on this side today. Okay, here we go. On Jordan's stormy banks I stand and cast a wishful eye to Canaan's fair and happy land where my possessions lie. I am bound for the promised land. I am bound for the promised land. Oh, who will come and go with me? I am bound for the promised land. All o'er those wide extended plains shine one eternal day. There God the Son forever reigns and scatters night away. I am bound for the promised land. I am bound for the promised land. Oh, who will come and go with me? I am bound for the promised land. Last verse. When shall I reach that happy place and be forever blessed? When shall I see my Father's face and in his bosom rest? I am bound for the promised land. I am bound for the promised land. Oh, who will come and go with me? I am bound for the promised land. Thank you. Have a seat. Let's go, Lord, in prayer. Does anybody have a spoken prayer request? Yes, ma'am. Okay. What's your stepfather's name? Okay. Yes, ma'am, Jill. Okay. Uh-huh. Anyone else? You spoke a question. Rebecca? Okay. Okay. I don't know if the microphones picked this up. I'm going to repeat what you all gave me because of, for those at home that couldn't hear. So Adeline, that's one of the twins that was born 2 weeks ago, has had heart surgery on Tuesday. And also pray for her, the mom, Ashley. Her blood pressure is extremely high, and they're fearful of her having a stroke. Pray for Susie Swift. She has pancreatic cancer surgery this week. And she will have surgery this week. And Luke's sister, Hannah, had her baby this week, and baby's fine. But pray for Hannah. Just pray for Hannah in that. And Marie's stepfather, Leonard Petrie, is 90 years old and has cancer. And keep him in your prayers. I got several more here. People ask us to pray for Kathy Comer, Jimmy's mom, and for Patty, and for Tracy. She had tests too. 10 days ago, she hadn't got the results back, so keep Tracy in your prayers. Jim Sumner's sister-in-law, and a special one spoken for within our family. Pray for Donna Humphreys, that's Tammy's and Kathy's aunt. They had a valve replacement Tuesday, and she's doing good as far as we know, but she's home from the hospital. Okay, and pray for our nations, our teachers and students in our schools. Okay. Anybody else with a spoken request? Anybody with an unspoken request that you want to pray about? Let's go to the prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to be in your house this morning, Lord. I pray that you bless in each one of these requests, Lord, both spoken and unspoken. Some serious needs, Lord, and a lot of needs within our country. I pray that you'll guide us as a nation. I pray that you'll guide us as a church family. I pray that you'll guide us as individuals that will bring honor and glory to you, that you'll direct our lives and use us, please, for your glory to win others to you. I pray that you'll bless in our Sunday school hour in all we do, Lord, all we teach and say and do in our classes. We want to teach our adults and our kids how to love you and serve you better. And I pray that you'll use us today. In Jesus' name we ask. Amen. Okay, you can be dismissed to Sunday school. Yeah, it's probably in the office where we got candy. Set it down, priorities. There, you got it. Good. That's it? Good. Okay, we're going to go into Luke chapter 7. Luke chapter 7. Jerry, can you pull that door shut? Please. Birthday boy. For me. Oh, yeah, today's my birthday. That's why we're singing Bound for the Promised Land. I feel this much older. I don't know why. I couldn't get out of bed this morning. Well, I got up first time, but then, lay back down after fed the animals and stuff and pick vegetables. And I'm exhausted. Why? Because you're a year older. Not a year older than yesterday. So anyway, Luke chapter 7, if you will. We'll start reading at verse 36, but I want you to keep your Bibles open. We're going to skip around a bunch of verses in this. If you get us a Sunday school hour, if you have questions or comments, I want to hear your questions because I don't know what you are looking for or what you need unless you ask. I set my phone out here because last week Jim Summers said he called me, text me or something, so my phone's out here and on. So if you text me, I'll have it. Instead of last week where I didn't get the message till I got home. Okay, Luke chapter 7, look at verse 36. I'm going to read several verses. And we're going to look at people today. I want to look at a couple of different people in this story. Okay? Luke chapter 7, verse 36. And one of the Pharisees desired him that he would eat with him, talking about Jesus. And he went to the Pharisee's house and sat down to meat. And behold, a woman in the city, which was a sinner, when she knew that Jesus was sat at meat in that Pharisee's house, brought an alabaster box of ointment, and stood at his feet behind him, weeping, and began to wash his feet with tears, and then wiped them with the hairs of her head, and kissed his feet, and anointed them with the ointment. Now when the Pharisee which had bidden him saw it, he spake within himself, saying, This man, if he were a prophet, would have known who and what manner of woman this is that toucheth him, for she is a sinner. Stop reading right there, okay? So we got in this story, of course, we always get Jesus in the middle of the story because he's in the middle of everything we do. a Pharisee. We know the religious guys. He invites Jesus to come to his house for supper. So that he's there, and a woman comes in, a known woman. She's a known sinner. Everybody knows who she is, or whatever her occupation is, whatever she does. She comes in and stands behind Jesus because in those days, of course, we sit at the table with our feet down, at the dinner table, most of us, except when we had kids, and we sit on the floor and eat with them. But at that time, they would sit down like this, and I'm not going to do this now because I'm 58 years old today, and I can't get back up. But they would sit on the floor, and the kind of feet would be behind them. You've done that. So this woman came in and stood behind Jesus while Jesus was there at supper with this guy's name is Simon. We'll read that in the next couple of verses. He's there with the Pharisee Simon and however many people have dinner together. And this woman stands behind him and starts weeping. And the tears are falling down on Jesus' feet. Then she gets down with her hair and she wipes his feet with her hair. And then she starts kissing his feet. And she the whole time, you see this woman weeping. And she has an alabaster box of ointment, very, very expensive. Now we have perfume bottles. You take the lid off, you use a little bit of it. That's what I do. Put a little bit here, a little bit there. But at that time, they had a box of ointment. You'd have to break the box, and once you break the box, it would fill the whole room with the smell. And you can't. I saw something you can put a lid on and reuse it again. Okay. So she does this. She anoints Jesus' feet. She's kissing his feet the whole time. She's wiping his feet. She's weeping. She's weeping the whole time. So this big contrast between the two people. The Pharisee who invited him to dinner, and the woman that is standing behind him, weeping and kissing his feet. The Pharisee, who I think is honoring Jesus, he's heard him teach, he's heard him preach, he's maybe seen some miracles, whatever, but he's invited him to dinner because he wants to know. And most often when we use the term Pharisee, we use it in a bad term. Okay, is that right? Because if someone's a Pharisee, that means they're religious, and but some of the Pharisees they were really seeking, like Nicodemus who came to Jesus at nighttime. They were really seeking God and serving God, but a lot of them were so just bound to their religion that they could never see Jesus who he was. Okay, so this guy, I think, when I read this, because he said, last part of verse 39, he said, if he were a prophet, because he thinks Jesus is a prophet, doesn't know him as the Son of God. If he were a prophet, he would have known who and what manner of woman this is that touches him, for she is a sinner. That means he wouldn't have let that woman touch him. Okay? So I think this Pharisee, Simon, he's kind of, when he sees this woman touching Jesus, he's thinking Jesus is a prophet. But when he sees this woman touching his feet, kissing his feet, wiping his feet with her hair, he starts thinking, well, who is he then? Okay? Because I thought he was a prophet, or maybe a teacher. I watched him heal somebody a while ago. I've seen him do these things, and I wonder, he is hospitable towards Jesus, and he's looking. Okay, I don't think all Pharisees. I know it. All the Pharisees of Jesus' day were not wanting to kill Jesus. They were looking, and they see him. They see what's different about him. Okay. There were the leaders and the high priest and them who they wanted him to be crucified. They wanted him to be put to death. Okay. They wanted Jesus to be crucified, but there's other people, just like I'll say the same thing in a lot of other religions today. There's a lot of people that were brought up. Okay, I was brought up in a church where my older sister told me they quit preaching the gospel one time. I was old enough to understand it. When I did get saved at 17 in a different church. And my sister said they quit preaching the gospel at our church when you were little. By the time she got saved, and I wasn't old enough to understand it. There's a lot of people, I think they're real religious, like this Simon, and they're really looking for something. Okay? So he sees this woman, he says, well, Jesus was a prophet. He wouldn't let her touch him. Okay? Because his religion would tell him not to let the lady talk to him. Touch him in any way, right? Let's read on, okay? Look at verse 40. We'll read several verses. Maybe it was down to verse 45. And Jesus answered him, said to him, Simon, I have somewhat to say to thee. And he said, Master, say on. He's respectful towards Jesus, but he just doesn't know, okay? And he said, Master, say on. And Jesus said, there was a certain creditor which had two debtors. The one owed 500 pence, and the other 50. And when they had nothing to pay, he frankly forgave them both. Tell me, therefore, which of them will love him most? And Simon answered and said, I suppose he whom he forgave most. And he said to him, thou hast rightly judged. And he turned to the woman and said unto Simon, seest thou this woman? I entered into thine house, and I gave me no water for my feet. They would clean up outside, but they're walking from the public bathhouse, or where they would wash themselves off. Their feet would get dirty. And a lot of times, once they got to the house, they washed their feet. Seest thou this woman? I entered into thine house, and they gave me no water for my feet. But she hath washed my feet with her tears, and wiped them with the hairs of her head. Thou gavest me no kiss. But this woman, since the time I came in, hath not ceased to kiss my feet. My head with oil thou didst not anoint, but this woman hath anointed my feet with ointment. Wherefore I say unto thee, her sins, which are many, are forgiven her, for she loved much, but to whom little is forgiven, the same loveth little. Okay. If Simon if he is a good guy, but a religious man, a Pharisee, if he is a good guy and looking, then he sees this woman as, why is he letting her touch him? Okay? Why is he allowing that to happen? Jesus justifies the woman to Simon, to the Pharisee, by her works. He said she really understands what forgiveness is. And who would forgive more? Someone owed 500, we'll say today's dollars. If someone owed $500 and someone owed $5, who's going to forgive more? I mean, if you forgive them both, who's going to be happier that you've been forgiven? Right? Anybody owe a great debt? Anybody here owe a great debt? Everybody's still paying on a house payment, car payment, right? Well, right? If someone came in and said, I'm going to pay your debt, would you be happy if you were down to your last house payment, $700 a month? You were down to your last house payment, someone says, I'm going to pay it off for you. Thanks. You'd be appreciative. But if you still owe 20 years on that house at $700 a month, you paid the first 10 years of payments, and you guys still owe 20 years, and someone said, I got to take care of that for you, brother. Really? Woo-hoo. Right? Be different when it's Charlie. So Charlie says, are you making an offer? Charlie said, are you offering me? No, I'm not. Don't take it personal. And Jim Castro, don't text me about any debt that you owe. Okay. Hey, thanks, Brother John. Okay. There would be a big difference between owning a huge debt and get it paid off. Okay. When Jesus made reference to the two, he said, Simon, you've been forgiven too. Right? But your debt wasn't much. Enough. Okay? You can be forgiven too. And I think he understood forgiveness by the grace of God. The Pharisees, not all of them, would understand that every sacrifice that they had offered from the time of Adam and Eve, every lamb that was offered as a sacrifice through the law of Moses, every sacrifice was represented by Jesus Christ, and they would know that that was an atonement for their sins. So salvation was by grace under the Old Testament, just like it's by grace under the New Testament. Only the sacrifice, only the Calvary stands between the two, and the debt that everyone was looking forward to being paid was back here, and then we look back at it as being paid. So Jesus said to Simon, your debt wasn't as much as hers, right? That's basically what he's saying. And you can understand why she would act differently than, let me get this right. There are kids that grow up in church. I don't want to say it's the wrong way because I don't want to justify anybody doing anything wrong or just anything like that. There are kids that grow up in church. Parents got saved. Parents are in sin, way in sin, in all kinds of trouble, about to get divorced, and all things go bad. And they get saved, and their life is changed, transformed completely. And then they have a child that they bring up in church that gets saved at a young age, which we want all of our kids to get saved at a young age. Everyone in here, we want all of our kids to get saved at a young age, right? We don't want them to go into sin and have scars of sin that they carry with them through life, right? We want them to get saved at a young age. But a lot of times, it means more to somebody that I know what I was before I got saved, right? I know who I was, what I was before I got saved. The day I got saved, the 180-degree turn, God changed my life completely, okay? A lot of times our kids get saved, but it doesn't mean as much to them, okay? It doesn't, Brother John, they're still saved by grace, just like the Pharisee was. Just like, I can use it from Pharisee for this, just like Simon. He is saved by grace, just like this woman who's not named, okay? Brother John, how come it doesn't mean as much to our kids or where I've seen this in generations of people. I've been saved for 40 years now. As of last month, we've been saved for 40 years. So in the 40 years' time, we've seen where one generation, they get saved is completely different than the next generation. And some kids of the next generation that get saved, someone that is lost way out in the world somewhere gets saved, and they come to church and they say, well, how come the Christians at church aren't as excited about Jesus Christ as I am? Right? And so, so our kids grow up and they're in church all their life, and Jesus has saved them, but it doesn't seem as much. And then someone comes in whose life is transformed, and you think, wow, what a difference it's made. For me personally, I know I was on my way to hell before I got saved. Okay? So this woman is weeping. Well, John, you're pushing for emotionalism? No. I don't think this woman is being. I don't think she's weeping because of emotion. I think she's weeping because of debt's paid. It's not for show. The fact that she's kissing his feet is not for show. Did anybody kiss somebody else's feet just for show? No, I don't think so. Okay? There's something real about this woman. And Simon's saying, okay? She knows where she came from, or what she did. There's another woman who's 7 demons cast out of her. She had anointed Jesus with the oil and wiped it with the hair. It's maybe the same story, but it's in a different book. And the whole house was filled with the smell of the aroma, okay, of the ointment. To her, it is the biggest day of her life. Okay, so for her kissing, wiping his feet, with her weeping over his feet, wiping with the hair, and kissing his feet, just keep kissing his feet. That is not for show. Okay, that's something real that happened. There was something real that changed in her life. Okay, I got a question. In reading this, and I don't know why my mind works different than everybody else. You have to answer me this question. Okay, does your life show the world that you truly repent? Okay, when you got saved, Charlie, how old were you when you got saved? 9 years old. Okay. When you got saved at 9 years old, or you got saved at 17 years old, or you got saved at about 20 years old, 21 years old, okay? Or Jamie, about 25, okay? I'm just going to go through the numbers. Okay? 18, 21 years? Huh? 18, okay. Maureen, David, I don't know when y'all got saved. I know, what age? Long time ago. David said, I think Abe Lincoln was president when we got saved. It's right after the Civil War. Okay. Okay. Does our life, I'm not saying you got to kiss somebody's feet or weep publicly. I'm just saying, does your life show that huge debt's been paid to people around you? That you know that debt has been paid? Does your family, does your next door neighbor know that your debt's been paid? Because in almost every story in the Bible, we read about, whether we read about David and Goliath or whoever, David and Saul, there's always more than one person in every story, right? Okay? Lazarus, we'll talk about Lazarus, it was his sisters Mary and Martha, and everybody that was there when he came up out of the grave. When you read this, when I read this, do the people around you, can they look at your life and say, that guy knows his debt is paid, or that lady knows her debt has been paid, and they want to show everyone that debt's paid? That makes sense? Do your neighbors know? Do your family members know? Can they tell? Can they look at your life and say, he's got something? Okay? Now Simon looked at the woman and said, Jesus didn't let her touch it. All right? He's a prophet. He wouldn't let that woman touch it. But he knew that she had something. Right? That's my first question. Does your life show the world that your debt's been paid? For the people who are trying to figure out who Jesus is, because there's people all around us today. They've heard his name all their life. Or a lot of people that live around us today, they've heard God, but usually with the word damn after it. So that's the only time they hear the word God. There's people all around us today. If they look at our life, if they're like this Pharisee who invited Jesus to Simon, who invited Jesus to have a meal with him, if they're really looking for truth, can they look at you and say, he's got something, she's got something, okay? Only you can answer that. Can you tell me, can you answer that now? And you say, yeah, they all know. Okay. So in this, Jesus justified the woman to Simon by her actions, right? The just shall live by faith, Scripture says. He's telling Simon, look what she's done. She's got something that's real. Okay? You had that. Okay? And it makes Simon's looking at him, he's called him master. He knows he's a teacher. He thinks he's a prophet. He's probably seen some healings and different things going on. But there's a lot of people out there looking. Your neighbors, your family, your co-workers are looking for something that is real. Jessica, what's the guy who lives right next door to you? Please, what's his name? Tyler. Does he know you're a Christian? Does he know? Can he look at your life and say, that girl's got something real, born again? There's a drastic change in her life that she got saved. Okay? That bothers me if somebody doesn't know. As a Christian, you ever have somebody witness to you, approach you, start talking to you about Jesus Christ? They want to witness to you, and you're already saved. Okay, if somebody doesn't know you, you understand that they're just soul winning. They just got, they feel like they need to witness to you. But if you're a Christian and you know these people for a long time, they try to tell you about Jesus as if you don't know who he is. And something inside of me, okay, there's a guy we used to go to church with for years and years ago. Okay, Preacher Dave worked with this guy. It was before Preacher Becky came to our church. This guy went to our church, sang in the choir, graduated from North Valley. Decent guy, okay? But when Preacher Dave met him through work one day, worked with him for a little while, he started witnessing to the guy. Not Preacher Dave, but I'm the same way. We talk to everybody. I probably forget him. And Preacher Dave started witnessing to the guy. He said, yeah, I'm a Christian. Yeah, I'm a Christian. I went to Christian school. Okay? I go to such and such church. Oh. I did. And they told me this story later after him and Becky came to our church. That he met that guy and didn't think there was anything Christ-like about it. Okay? So he tried to witness to the guy. Well, I hope my neighbors know who I am. Okay? I hope everybody, that's probably 40 houses in our holler. I hope everybody in our holler knows who I am as a child of God. Hope they know. I mean, there's people up our holler that have been there. He's joking to you this. There's people up in our holler that have been there since my dad was a kid. Well, most of those are passed off. There's still a couple of those families that have known me all my life and still call me Johnny. Okay? And they ought to do something different about it. They ought to know that I'm not the same person that I was as a kid growing up. Okay? We had sacrifices then too. I had to go with a cat, a snake. It was fun. It was bad. Okay. That's supposed to be funny. You're not supposed to smile at that. And I'd look at me with that, like, oh, really? Okay. So Jesus, he justifies the woman's faith to Simon by her actions. But then he justifies her actions to her, justifies her faith to herself. Look what he says to her in the last couple of verses. Okay? Verse 48. He said unto her, to the woman, thy sins are forgiven. And they that sat at meat with him, more than just Simon sitting there, they that sat at meat with him began to say within themselves, Who is this that forgiveth sins also? I mean, how can he forgive sins? Who does this guy think he is? Who does Jesus think he is? Okay. He said to the woman, thy faith has saved thee, go in peace. Okay? Okay, there's two parts to this lesson. The first part of the lesson is this. Does our faith show to the world who we are, right? Who we truly are, that we've been born again. Does it show repentance like this woman did in Simon's house? And Jesus, could Jesus point at your life and say to the world, he's got it, she's got it, right? That the world can say, I want what they have. Okay? And I've said this 1,000 times. We're all supposed to be verbally witnessing for Christ. But if our actions cover up our voice, then it's like a hypocrisy when we try to witness to people. But if our life shows it, then our voice should back up everything we say. Or our actions, our life should back up everything our words say. Okay. Now, he says to the woman that sins, the faith has saved thee. He said, verse 48 says, thy sins are forgiven. Verse 50 says, thy faith has saved thee, go in peace. I don't think there's anything else anybody else needs in life other than know your sins are forgiven and you can go in peace. Okay? Because here's the next part. Because when the Simons of the world are looking at your life, my life, or whoever, do they see that we have this peace, that when Jesus said to this woman, go in peace, verse from Isaiah, thou shalt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because thou hast trusted in me. This is in Isaiah 26, verse 3. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusted in me. When I look at the people that are around me that are lost, or the people that I think are seeking for something, what are they looking for more than anything else? Sins to be forgiven, because everybody has a past or a history or a current lifestyle that says, I need forgiveness or something, right? Most people know that. Some people refuse to acknowledge it. But the next thing people are looking for is peace, okay? When people are looking at your life, do they see that you've been redeemed? And do they see that you have a peace about you, a confidence? Not cockiness, but a confidence, a peace that's on the inside. Peace that passes understanding. A peace about you when your family that's lost or out of church looks at you and they say, they got something. Okay? Not just the transformation of salvation that changed your life completely, but they look at you and say, they got some kind of peace about them that I want. Because that's what Jesus said to this woman. That faith is saved, they go in peace. Okay? That means she could walk away from there knowing who she was before she came in that room weeping, and walk away from there with a complete confidence that everybody else could see it. Okay? That she can walk through life and go through life saying, everything's all right in my Father's house, in my Father's house. Come and go with me to my Father's house where there's joy, joy, joy. And a lot of people don't get that. I know a lot of Christians, and they come to Jesus, they come to the altar, and they lay their burdens down here at the altar, and they weep and pray and ask God to forgive them their sins, and they have a problem that they've created, and they want God to forgive them and to get that thing taken care of, and then they pick it back up, that burden, and carry it back with them. And they're stressed all through life. Okay? You ever do that? You ever pray about something and then take it back with you and say, hey, God, I'll take care of this myself. And you know you can't. Okay? Okay? Sorry, I testified Wednesday night about, Sunday night about unexpected debt and still having $7 paid left over after he paid his debt, and just being tickled to death for the fact that he had $7 left over at the end of the ordeal. Okay? There ought to be that peace that people see in us. Not just the redemption that it says, okay, I was this person, this mongrel that I was this person, but I got saved, so I'm not smoking that and drinking that and saying those words, and I'm not that person anymore. But when I walk away from that, when I walk away from all the sin, I'm not walking away as a sinner looking back at the sins that I wish I could still do that. I'm walking away from that saying, I've got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. There's something different inside of me. Okay? You have that? People see that? Okay? Is there a Christian in your life? You tell me this, and you answer this. Is there a Christian in your life? You look at that person and say, he's got peace. Where's he get that from? He's got that confidence that I wish I had. Okay? When Tam and I got saved, it was 40 years ago, came to Baptist Church, August, I think it's 22nd. We were 17 years old, and there's people in that church. There were people in that church that had a confidence that they knew their life was being transformed, but they had a confidence in knowing everything's okay. A peace that went with them, not just because their sins were forgiven, a peace that went with them, a peace that says everything's okay. He's got this and he's in control. That didn't mean they quit working and say, God's going to take care of me if I sit around on the couch all day. Okay? It doesn't mean they did anything like that, but they went through their life with this confidence of saying, God's got this. Okay? I'm like a give this illustration. When I was a child, I worked with my dad, but I didn't really work. I just went along with him. Okay? I went on the truck, went on the feed, he's delivering feed, he had the feed store. I just rode with him in the truck. And when I climbed up in the truck, I thought everything was okay. Didn't know he fell asleep when he was driving a lot. But I thought that was funny. Anyway, everything was okay because I was just riding with my dad. And a lot of Christians have that testimony. You ever look at somebody else as a young Christian when you first got saved, look at somebody, Michelle mentioned before she in her testimony, or talking to this personally, when she first came to church, you can see that the men in our church treated their daughters differently, right? Is there somebody you looked at in your life as a young Christian and said, well, they got that confidence. They got that peace I want they have. Right? Y'all got that? Okay. Okay. Now that, see, Jamie's been saved, the people that are in this room, not including those that are watching from home, then Jamie's been saved the least length of time, right? How long is that? 5 years, 4 years? 7 years? Been that long? Okay. Well, Michelle, that's about the same for you then, right? 4 years, 5 years? 5 years. Okay. That means every one of us has been on this road long enough that we can, the people that knew us before we got saved, or look at our life now, can see there's a transformation that's taking place in our life because we've been saved. But also by now, we ought to be the person that is walking with that confidence, by that walking with God, that other people can see it, that we can have that peace. Okay? If you've been saved long enough, I think this lady had it from the day she was weeping there, staying there with Jesus' feet. He said, go in peace. Every one of us can have that peace that goes with us, that spreads out to everybody around us. It's like like some people, their attitude's an infection at work, right? It causes problems with everybody they work with. Anybody work with somebody like that? Don't point anybody in the room, please. Okay, but some people are like an infection at work. It's okay, you know, that joy or that peace can be infectious too, in a good way. Okay, can have that effect on your family, your siblings, or your parents, or your kids. That can have that peaceful, that tranquility thing, but the effect, infection, that's a good thing. Okay? Any questions? That's about all I have. So, do people see you've been changed? Okay, there's a sign down in his election year. There's a sign down in Lewisburg, all over Lewisburg, but I don't know if it's running for county commissioner or something like that. And it's a quote that says, politicians and diapers need changed often, or something like that. I can't remember what it was. Can people see that you've been changed, or you still have that smell? Okay, right? You can tell when Waylon needs it, right? I said, oh, yeah, okay. Can they see that? Or do you still have the stench and the smell? Okay? That's the first question. The second question is, do you have that peace? You already have it. You have it now. You'll keep him in perfect peace. That will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on me because he trusted in me. You got the Pharisees around you, the people that are really looking, the Simons around you. Look at your life and say, I want what he has. I want what she has. Okay. Comments, questions? Can people see it in you? There's a song I love. I can't sing it. I saw Jesus in you. I saw Jesus in you. I could hear his voice in the words you spoke. I saw Jesus in you. In your eyes I saw his care. I could see his love was there. You were faithful, and I saw Jesus in you. It sounds a lot prettier than that, so those things. But it's a true statement that other people are looking for him. They want to figure out who Jesus is. Man, you're the only Bible we're going to read till they get saved. Okay? Comments? Comments? Questions? Right.
Of course, anger is
Right.
sometimes I want to get mad about it. I want to take my testimony. I want to get the Christ in it. I feel like that is definitely the way we react to things a lot.
Right. Right.
Is there a balance of when things happen? Say, let's just say this is something that's bad. Let's put that out there.
Mama Bear comes out.
Mama Bear coming out. I'm saying, is there a balance though? Like, I'm always going to protect my testimony. If I don't know someone, I'm going to protect my child. And I can hear, I'm going to say it. And I feel what that person thinks of me if I'm protecting my child. And I know what is right. I know that I'm correct in my thinking. Is there a line for me?
Is there a line? Did you cross the line?
Is there not, like, you don't care what they think, but is there a line that makes it okay to protect your child? And your witness might be harmed to them. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. Protect your child.
I really struggle with that line. I always tend to want to protect the testimony. And I'm not trying to act like I don't.
Right, yeah, no.
Don't get me wrong.
We know.
I'm trying to pay attention. Believe me, Mama Bear comes out sometimes. Luckily, I haven't had to like, in that kind of position, but there has been times. Now, my husband, he's much more like confident in, like, I don't care what people think. Not because he doesn't care about testimony, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
But he's very confident in his thought process. But see, I would worry. What is that person going to think? Do you know what I mean? And not that I'm putting my kid in there.
Right.
I love him.
Right.
Like, ultimately, you put me in a place, I'm probably going to protect him. But I think for some, I won't say that.
The line is it's natural to protect your family. Okay? We were on a youth activity years and years ago, and there was 3 drunk guys causing trouble. Preacher Dave was there, I was there, and we had a great day, but had some rough spots during that day, and we just got pizza on the upper deck of a hotel, outside corridor hotel, and there's the lower deck down there, and we just sat down to eat. We had kids scattered around all the way down to the thing. 3 drunk guys that caused trouble. Preacher went down to take care of it. Okay? And I know it was a long time ago because Leslie was sitting there right beside me, and someone turned to Leslie and said, "Your daddy's going to get beat up." I said, "No, it's only 3 of them." Okay? And so immediately I went down there and I stood behind him. Didn't say a word. I stood behind him. And the guys, my version of the story, preacher talked him down. Preacher's version of the story was when I came down and stood and blocked the light, that the mouthy one said, "All right, man, we're leaving." I said, okay, then it's perfectly okay to defend your children. And that line is really clear as, like, I'm a Christian, but you're not going to do that to my kids. Okay, you're not going to speak to my kids that way. Okay, you're not going to treat them that way. Okay. There's a line there, but it's okay to defend your family, all right, or your group, all right? Josiah already learned that last week when you were camping. He told some other kids not to pick on Trey or whoever it was that he took the stick, he had a stick, he threw it down, stomped on it, and said, "You ain't going to do that." So, yeah, it's okay. And your testimony is, "Yeah, I'm a Christian." Turn them upside down, right. Threw the tables. Made a cord and drove people out of the temple. Right. And that's exactly, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay? David, there's some Larry's back there at the door trying to get in. I know somebody else might be back there too. So there's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes it's good to see people. You become human. Okay. I've threatened people before. Okay. I know other people in our church members, the church family, have threatened people before. Okay. I remember Mark set a boy down with a lock-in thing, and he set a boy down and said, and Mark had this kid weighed about 300 pounds. I mean, he's a big kid. And he said, "You go sit down, and I'm going to put you through that door without opening it." Okay? And I thought, that's pretty good. And he said, I'm new to this Christianity thing. Mark said it. He said, I'm not good, like Brother John is not going to sit down and talk to you. I'm going to put you through that door. The guy said there was voice in there trembling when I came up to find out what was going on. I said, which is good. There's nothing wrong with that. That line is there. I can protect my kids. Okay? No problem with that. Just like defense, what's that castle law, something like defending your home? You know, if the law is you shoot somebody and break in your home or fighting you or hurting your children or whatever. Okay. Anything else? Yes. Yeah. 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 Okay. Right. Entrusted to you, right. 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 There's nothing wrong with that, and that's as far as that goes. But there could also be a piece that says, go back to this, because the two go hand in hand. Okay? A piece inside says, it's okay. We got this. Okay? It says, okay, I will take care of my household, and that's a subject that came up. I will take care of my family and my household, but my confidence is in God. It's like David fighting Goliath, right? Okay. Be a Christian all the time, okay? And it doesn't hurt to let it show. You know, sometimes I get emotional, not very often. I get emotional. I weep a lot. I mean, I weep more privately than I do publicly. You know, sometimes up here I'm emotional. Dave Castle will text me, you know, if your head leaks, it keeps it from swelling up, you know, whatever. He jokes about that stuff with me because inside of me, there's emotions raging all the time, okay? But most often it's in control. That's that peace that says everything's okay. Okay. Let's dismiss. Thank you, Lord, for loving us. And the truth you give us in your word this morning. Help us to be like this woman and show the people that are around us, like Simon, that are looking for something, looking for Jesus, and make it clear who he is. And help us to go walk through life with this peace, knowing that you're in charge. You've led us here for a reason. You're directing our lives. We trust you for the outcome of every situation in life, but we can have this peace that you've given us, and it can only come from you. We love you, Lord. Thank you for loving us. In Jesus' name we ask. Thanks. Thanks for your comments this morning.